Alrighty, guys, welcome to the final episode of the Pepsiman 2022 Any Percent Tournament. Except it's not actually any percent. We're going to be playing cutscene percent, the meme category, where it's just any percent, but we watch the cutscenes. So both these runners actually agreed to switch to cutscene percent for the sake. for the sake of the finals. And it looks like we're getting started right now, and we need to be... So right now you actually get to hear the cutscene for stage 1-1. So we're going to be watching every cutscene. No matter if it's a boss transition cutscene or a cutscene that plays prior to every scene. And a scene is basically like every set of levels.
They want Pepsi! And the word is that they're just about to riot. I plan to head over there as soon as I can fix this plant. But it looks like it's gonna take some time. Can't you do something, Pepsi Man?
Alright, we're getting right into it. So, here we are in 1-1. So, if you guys don't know, in Pepsiman, any percent, we try to avoid collecting any possible cans as much as possible. Opti is seeming like he's actually already on pace to get 0 cans, although this... Okay, he passed it. So, getting past that, the bulldozer with the swinging arm is really hard. Stage 1-1 is actually like a super huge reset point in like actual 80% runs. Opti gets past it no problem because he's a god. And Jonathan right now, he is... he's keeping up, but he got some cans, so it's a little bit unfortunate. He's already going to be behind coming out of 1-1. So Jonathan is about 1 second behind. He's going to be 3 seconds behind coming out of this cutscene, which is very unfortunate starting out with. But just because he's behind by 3 seconds now doesn't mean that it's going to stay like that for the entire run. Pepsiman is a game where the odds can flip in your favor on a dime, because one death can spell either a lead or a loss between 2 people. And it's pretty great. So coming into 1-2, same thing. This is probably one of the easiest levels in the game to get canless because it's just laid out in a way to where like every can is like spaced out as far as you can possibly get it. So essentially, both these guys should not be grabbing any cans, especially in this skateboard section where, like, even though it's a one-hit KO, it's very easy to avoid every obstacle, especially if you just stay on the left side. And both these guys are pretty much neck and neck right now in this level. Of course, Opti is a little bit more ahead, but Jonathan, as far as like the actual in-game time is concerned, they're actually keeping like pretty consistent pace. Now Jonathan misses a dash coming out of the skateboard section, which is, I think it loses about a second if you don't dash. So he's probably going to be losing another second behind Opti here just because of that. Yes, so he's going to be behind about by 4 seconds behind OptiJuegos. And Opti is just now going into the Pepsi can chase cutscene, so this is considered a boss fight in this game, even though it doesn't look like one. The Pepsi can is just rolling towards you at a set speed, and if you get hit by anything, either the Pepsi can speeds up towards you, or you slow down and it gets closer to you. I'm not exactly sure which is which because it's a bit hard to tell what actually happens in like when you get hit. But the gist is, you get hit, and Pepsiman gets closer to you. You get a total of 3 hits before the thing actually hits you. Opti got hit once towards the end, and it didn't really matter because there's just the last obstacle.
So basically, this was a in so many of events. This was a
stage 1. Barely any problems. Jonathan losing like a couple seconds because of the cans and the movement in 1-1.
Hello, can you hear me?
1-2. So he's behind by about 4 or 5 seconds behind Opti.
Pepsiman! There's a building on fire just ahead. We need to get there immediately, but look what's happened! According to reports I have heard, they got the fire under control, but there are some people that couldn't escape
yes.
and are trapped on the roof. They are extremely exhausted,
Hello?
and it doesn't seem likely that we
Hello.
can get first aid
So,
to them in time.
Forgot to mention, but I am
Can't
joined
you
by
give them something
Ghost,
to help revive them, Pepsiman?
the basically the moderator for our stream today.
Sorry for also joining a bit late. I'm a bit sick. I was not expecting to get sick, but at the same time, I was expecting to get sick because I have very different unless I think I'm gonna be able to provide some commentary along with Cooper. I asked him to comment with me today, so
Oh
it's a
yeah,
big pleasure for me. I don't remember when the last time I provide commentary for this game. But yeah, now let's focus into the action. Right now we're seeing that a lot of the guys are on 2-1 on the bar section, a section that I thought all the time that canless was something impossible. But then Opti and Emilia came and well, that's what we have.
I don't remember who found out the strat for 2-1 canvas, but I do remember. I think I was one of the first people to start implementing it consistently in any percent runs. It is extremely hard if you don't know the setup. I feel like once you do get a good muscle memory setup, it's not too hard, but it is definitely frustrating when you do still grab a can, even though you're trying to do the setup. Very, very frustrating level. But Opti gets through it pretty much with no issues because he's a god. And Jonathan is not slowing down. He's grabbed a lot of cans, but he's not slowing down. So that's sort of like the big difference here between canless and grabbing a can, as we're seeing demonstrated by both these guys. So Opti is getting pretty much like 0 cans throughout the entire game. So far, he hasn't grabbed a single can. And Jonathan, despite keeping pace as far as like the actual in-game movement is concerned, he's losing time because he's grabbing a lot of cans. So that's the big difference between canvas and grabbing a can. It's being demonstrated like to full effect right here in this match.
Like a 2-second difference, like a 2 seconds of the time we stayed with the canvas. But remember, the speedrunning, we had to try and easy to. Do you remember which speed is things that were visiting in the game? I have never learned that, and I always forget that.
I'm sorry. You're actually getting really, really quiet, Ghost.
Okay, hello, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me better?
You're good.
Okay. I was asking if you know the names of the cities that were visiting in the game. I always forget that, considering that I have been playing this game since I was a kid. I don't remember which city was this one. But yeah, getting in now at the end of the subway section. I don't know how much I can say about this. This is probably after the stairs is where trying to do this bunny hopping that Opti is doing can be a bit tricky / complicated, as you just have some small gaps or small sections to try to do the dash cancel in order to be able to keep your speed. So we are seeing here that Jonathan is deciding to go for the safer / kind of mildly common way to complete the section without those jumps, because otherwise you're going to be having a reduced gap in order to keep doing this strat, and dying on this last section is really punishing on this game. Now we are facing the second boss stage or boss fight. Well, it will depend about people's imagination at this point. We have this big red pizza truck because you need to use a big trailer to deliver some pizza, right?
You know, it's funny you say that because there's actually a pizza trailer like outside my apartment right now. It's I don't know why it's there, but it's just there. Like, so they exist. They really do exist.
Just make sure that it's not a red pizza one, because otherwise you know why they are there.
Oh yeah, no. It is definitely a pizza trailer, but it's not for red pizza, thankfully.
It looks like we're fine on that way. Now that I'm mentioning that, I think that's the first time I listened to somebody saying that they have seen a pizza truck. I think I have never seen one of those before.
I've seen a few, but then again, this is America. We have pizza trailers because everybody wants pizza.
Well, I'm not from a third world country, so memes happen.
Rip. Anyways, so Opti and Jonathan both got out of stage 2-3 with no issues at all. So right now, essentially, the game is being tilted towards Opti specifically because he's not collecting any cans, and his movement is slightly more optimized than what Jonathan's going for right now. Jonathan, at the end of 2-2, he may have done like a wider turn, but he did actually curl in at the last second. So he did like a wide turn, and then he went inside the turn. So he kind of like cut through the turn a little bit. So something that I need to bring up before these guys go into stage 3-1 is a tech called cornering. So cornering is when you stay on the inside of a turn to minimize as much travel time as possible. Now, you might think like it doesn't save that much time, and you'd be right if you weren't going for IL records. And for stage 3-2 specifically, cornering saves you like literally seconds because it actually, you know, it's so cracked. Like staying on the inside of a turn literally just reduces so much travel time to the point where you go much faster just by staying on the inside of a turn. Now, right here, when Opti goes for truck skip, you can see that he actually hugged the inside of the turn to try and line himself up better for it. Which, by the way, Opti got truck skip, so that's a huge deal. Just starting out right off the bat. Jonathan has a can already, and it's a bit concerning, but he's gonna get this truck skip no problem as well.
Yeah, no, there we go. Both of them got a truck skip, so this is like saving 10 seconds on each side.
I believe it's like 15 seconds, actually. I remember the first time I got this in an 80% run. My 3-1 time went from like it dropped down to like minus 15, you know, and I think it was just because of the truck skip. It's pretty huge.
Definitely, that's what I call a big save. But something I also need to add is that I felt a bit uncomfortable with what Opti has done on the first section of the stage. I was just seeing danger on screen, and I was feeling that I was gonna get hit at some point.
Oh no! No, he got hit.
This thing, this.
Oh no! He got cans.
Oh my god! Okay, definitely this is something good for Jonathan, because with these small mistakes that Opti got, definitely he's gonna be. Well, now Jonathan's gonna be a bit close to Opti. Not so much like the big time difference that both of the runners have, but considering that Opti failed the car wash skip, and at the same time he grabbed 2 cans of Pepsi at the end, this obviously this just translates into losing more time. So it's gonna be slightly helpful for Jonathan.
So what happened there is Opti got hit, and then he grabbed some cans. So with both those combined, he lost about 5 to 6 seconds, which is pretty huge considering the gap between these guys is already kind of small to begin with. I mean, like, none of them have really made like a huge mistake. Like, Opti, despite losing 6 seconds, that wasn't a huge mistake. It was just a mistake. So the gap is a little bit closed, but it's pretty clear that Opti's still ahead. And both these guys are trying their hardest to just optimize the movement at the beginning of 3-2. So this is the only stage in the game where you can't not grab a can. So you will always see people grabbing cans at this level. because it's not possible to skip these things. Now, if there's a way to like skip entire stages, because that's like the only way I can see like being able to like optimize 80% any further. Like if you can skip levels, this is the level I'd probably try to skip the most because it just sucks. Like it's just totally bad. Opti is not cornering, actually. I thought that he'd be trying to implement them, but I think since I told him about it very late, like, I think I told him about cornering just a few days ago, so he's probably not, like, fully used to it yet, but if he got his hands on cornering, then he'd probably be saving, like multiple seconds just because of that. I'm telling you, it's extremely important, especially for a game like this where you're trying to save as many frames as possible. And Opti, just now getting out of 3-2, and Jonathan is still not that far behind him. I'm actually really surprised that Jonathan is keeping his pace up. Now, you guys might not think, it, but like Jonathan, you know, he is like a top runner at this game. Like it might not like seem like it at first, especially when you look at the leaderboard and you see that he's like, what, like I think 5th place, 6th place right now on the board.
Well, if we remove the consoles from the board, as it's supposed that I was gonna do that months ago, in theory, Jonathan is on 5th place. He has an 1855, while Opti has an 1815. That is the world record on emulator. As well, this game is pretty expensive, so not so many people can have the opportunity of having a physical copy of this game. Plus, Jonathan has been practicing a lot, mostly since this tournament began, so... I don't know, I have the feel that he never thought that he was gonna be on the grand final of this tournament, so... It's really amazing to see how his progress has been in the game due to this tournament. I'm really glad about it.
It is, it's very cool to see people, like, actually improve a lot, especially around these tournament times, because when these tournaments come around, that's when people start to practice, that's when they start to get better, and then you see the improvement on the leaderboard, actually, around the same time. Exact same case with Jonathan. Jonathan practices, and then he gets better at it.
Wait. Looks like, well, in chat people are telling that Opti skipped a cutscene, so I need to check that.
Oh, did he?
I'm gonna see.
Did he skip the cutscene for the stage 3 boss?
Looks like that was the case. Yes, he skipped it.
Oh no!
So
Pepsi City went out of control a little while ago from being overloaded. All the roads are affected by the computer, and we can't.
So in this case, what do we do? This is gonna be an involved run for Opti, or we just simply add the time that cutscene takes?
So, considering that it's a small cutscene, I'm fine with just adding the time back. But I think for any future cutscene percent runs, like even if it's a small cutscene, you really got to keep your hand off the controller. I think we'll let it slide for right now, like just for this one match. But if the next match, same thing happens, I'm probably just gonna throw down a DQ because it is, you know, the name of the game is cutscene percent. You have to watch the cutscenes. Like it's a meme, yeah. Like it's a total meme, but
it's not a meme anymore. Remember, it's one of the main categories of the leaderboard as the community requested. And going back to the game, Opti tried to get the truck skip here at the beginning on 4th of 1. He unfortunately failed. I find that I don't find this hard to get, mildly tricky. Then nothing, but something that concerns me right now is that in this case Opti is now long held, so a single hit and that's gonna be a dead, obviously. More than this trash can section.
There's no way he's gonna get this without getting hit. If he gets hit, then he's gonna lose a life and it's gonna be a lot of time lost. He is, yep, grab the can. Alright, he's trying to be safe. So it's either you grab a can or you get hit trying to not grab a can, and in this case he grabbed the can. He's been trying really hard to get this level canless, and he actually gets the no stumble on the trash can. Are you serious? Come on, dude. that's some cracked stuff. Anyways, yeah. So Opti, he's just trying to be safe now at this point. I mean, he's only got one hit until he's dead, so he's got to be a little bit careful. But since there's no more obstacles, he's out of there. Jonathan is still not that far behind, so right now, Opti and Jonathan are still neck and neck, essentially coming into 4-2. And this is the level where I think the game would get really close. So if Opti makes any huge mistakes, then Jonathan can easily tie him up or get ahead of. Like it's I call it the equalizer for a reason.
I'm gonna be back on the beat. I'm gonna be timing the cutscene that Opti skipped, so we can add that to his final time.
And speaking of Opti, right now he is in 4-3 or 4-2. And this is one of the hardest levels in the entire game. And you can clearly see why. There's a bunch of conveyor belts that change your speed. There's things everywhere. There's boxes that pop out of the walls. There's conveyor belts next to those boxes. There's doors that open and shut all the time. And Opti just recently got the world record for 4-2 as far as the individual level record. So he's been practicing this level a lot. So if he gets hit or anything like that, I'm going to be very surprised, which he actually did get hit on a pipe, funny enough, but it doesn't look like it's phasing him at all. Gets hit, still doesn't grab a can, so he's actually pretty safe. Oh no! Oh, that is huge! That is a huge death. He didn't grab the checkpoint. Oh no, Opti's actually behind now. That's why I call this the equalizer, because now Opti's got to play out of his mind in order to catch back up to Jonathan. Jonathan may actually have a chance here. So Opti, as of right now, is actually behind because of one mistake. Oh man, now this just got interesting. This just got interesting, chat. This is anybody's game at this point. Jonathan, if Jonathan messes this up, then he is officially, well, if Jonathan doesn't mess this up, then he is officially ahead at this point. So even with the cutscene skip that Opti got, he's actually still behind now, and that's insane to me. So Jonathan, at the very end of 4-2, can he close this out? Opti gets hit while going to try to do the door skip. Jonathan gets out of 4-2. Jonathan's ahead at this point. He might actually win this first round. This is not what Opti wanted today. Opti does not. He did not want that to happen. Period. He gets out of the snowboard section, but oh man, it's actually coming down to the last chase section, isn't it?
I really feel bad about losing this last section of the stage. Looks like interesting stuff happened while I was not here.
Oh, Ghost. Opti's behind.
Yes, that's what I'm noticing. But,
he made one mistake. Okay, so what happened is after the pipe section, he actually died, and he didn't grab the checkpoint, so he went all the way back to the start of 4-2. That was a huge death. Absolutely ginormous. So actually, even though Opti skipped that one cutscene before the chase for the 3-3 chase section, he actually still is behind. So it really goes to show that if you mess up at 4-2 in any way, and what Opti did was extremely risky and it did not pay out, which is very unfortunate. Right now, it looks like Jonathan is ready to close this first round out.
Yeah. Unless a big mistake on Jonathan's side happens, definitely this is gonna be a win for him.
Oh no, it's already over. It's already over. Jonathan's got this. That's it. Jonathan wins the first round.
So I have a doubt here because Jonathan doesn't have a PB of this category, so maybe this can be a PB for him, or I don't know exactly. But well, with the time that Opti has lost, well, that has saved because he forgot to don't skip a cutscene. It was just 14.3 seconds, but since Jonathan finished first, that's now pointless, meaning that well, Jonathan got the first point. I don't think that I don't think that Jonathan was expecting to at least win a round, but I'm really nice. I really feel happy about this. It looks really nice for him. This is happening.
You can see him like popping off, in the webcam. That was pretty funny. You love to see people actually like get hyped for this, and that like understandably so. I mean, this game is extremely nice to like play well in, especially in a race setting like this. So, Jonathan wins the first round unexpectedly, by the way, because he was very behind up until Opti died in 4-2. That's why I say that 4-2 is the equalizer. It can always change the tide of the match, and it did in this one's instance. Now the question is, can Opti learn from that mistake and try to play 4-2 at least a little bit more safe than what he was trying to do? Because he was trying to do some super risky stuff, and it did
Being
not
aware
pay
about
off.
how Opti is, I don't think he's gonna do that. But definitely he needs to. But well, I can confirm that Jonathan has never done cuts on percent before, so this is definitely a PB for him. So GG's. And this right now puts him on 3rd place of the leaderboard.
Yes. I wonder when's the day I'm going to start doing cutscene percent. By the way, I'm pretty sure I changed cutscene percent to be a what is it?
A missed
Miscellaneous category.
Yeah, that's what I'm noticing.
I mean,
I'm gonna fix that in a moment.
Dang. Anyways,
That's word on the leaderboard gives you a lot of power, but you need to be really careful with what you do because that's not something that everybody can have. But yeah, it's really interesting how cuts and percent turn it into a category because in the past it was just called any percent plus cutscenes, and I think that it was on a box run on a GDQ where it was turned into cuts and percent, but it was just like a marathon exclusive category, and then a lot of people began asking about the possibility of adding the category as on the leaderboard. And well, at the end we ended up adding it, so it was mostly to request of the community. So up to this day, I still can't believe that Cats and Percent it's a category of the game, and I really enjoy. I really like how people enjoy this category. Definitely, it doesn't matter if it's a single run, if it's a tournament, like in this case, if it's a marathon run. I really like how people really enjoy Cuts and Percent. It's really a pleasure to see that.
See, and it's just funny how we can change this tournament's rules to essentially just be a different category, quote unquote. It's still essentially like the same thing. The only difference is you actually just watch all the cutscenes. Because the cutscenes only add time; they don't really do anything as far as the gameplay is concerned. So, in that case, it's good, especially for the people, because people like to meme on the cutscenes. So, if you get to see them in a tournament setting, like in a competitive sense, like this, I guess it adds to the humor because it's like, oh, now we have to actually watch these things in a tournament setting.
Yeah, I need to say that I also like how the final match of this tournament get turned into Cuts and Percent. I think that I don't remember. I don't remember if it was yours or Emilio ideas, because I think that the grand final of the last year tournament was between Emilio and you. Maybe I'm wrong with this.
Yes, it was, and we did in fact do cutscene percent. So, and yeah, I don't remember whose idea it was, but it was definitely like a funny idea. Although that was the same match where I realized that in 4-1 there's actually a glitch where you can actually just not die in that level, and I was very confused at first because I was like, dude, I should have died. Like, what the heck happened?
I gotta call the vending machine ahead. Ran out of Pepsi.
When I lie if I say that I remember that.
When I got a flat tire.
It's really nice. Maybe we can consider in the future to have a Cuts and Percent tournament. Maybe there's a good chance. So this is a general invite for all the people who are watching this stream. Definitely, Pepsiman is not a pretty complicated game to learn. I used to meme, or well, a lot of people used to meme some time ago, saying that if you can complete 4-2 without problems, you have learned a 50% of the speed run of the game. So I really hope that for next year we can get more people involved here, because, for example, Opti is one of the new people that got joined here, as he was not a runner last year when we began with the tournament, if I remember correctly.
So starting out with the second round of this match, Jonathan immediately grabs more cans. I feel like he has not practiced 1-1 canless, especially because he hasn't gotten it, I don't think, at all in this entire tournament. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's actually gotten it a single time. Which, to be fair, it is pretty hard to do 1-1 canless, especially consistently, because of the excavator in the middle of the level. It's just so hard to squeeze between them. I wouldn't call it pixel perfect, but it is pretty tight.
Mostly input perfect in some way, as you need to have a good timing with your input just to do that section countless. It's mostly tricky. I don't consider that's complicated. Maybe that's one of the easy 1-1, maybe one of the easiest stage to complete countless, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna be easy at the same time. It's what I consider as mostly something tricky to get rather than difficult.
So right now, I believe Opti is about 2 seconds ahead, 2.5 seconds ahead right now. And I feel like it was mostly due to movement because they both got cans. So
yeah, definitely was movement, because we can see here that Jonathan is not dashing and jumping while Opti is doing that. It gives you a small boost, not a big one, but on a situation like this, it's something that really is going to be helping you. And now, Pepsiman Pro Skater, learn something, Tony Hawk.
now, unfortunately, there isn't really like a way to speed this section up. It is quite literally an auto-scroller. Like, the only way that we can really save any time here is just to go as straight as possible. Because I don't know if turning actually deviates your speed at all, but if it doesn't, then that would mean that this is just a complete auto-scroller and there's like nothing you can do to speed it up, which is unfortunate. Oh, actually, both these guys are still canless right now, and Jonathan, I believe, is only about 4 seconds behind. So yeah, Opti's movement, as you can see, between Jonathan and Opti. Opti does a thing called bunny hopping, which I believe Emilio was the first person to start doing it in like actual speedruns, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's where like I learned it from. I learned it from him, and that's when I realized like, oh yeah. So on top of like the jump, potentially saving some frames off your level playthrough. So not only does the jump save frames, but also the jump retains your dash speed even after the dash ends. So you spend less time paused after every dash, because every time you dash, it's like a tiny cooldown window, and then you can dash again. When you jump and dash, you have a lot less of those throughout the level, so you save more frames that way. So right now, Jonathan and Opti are pretty much neck and neck. I mean, like, I think Jonathan is, I believe, like 5 seconds behind Opti now, which isn't like a huge deal because they're both making like around the same mistakes. They both got cans in 1-1, and in 1-2, I believe Opti only had the edge out because of his movement. So right now, it's pretty neck and neck. And like I said, it could change at any moment. If Opti plays super risky like he did before, then we might be seeing like a total upset, because, you know, going into this tournament, you know, we all knew that Opti was pretty good. And unfortunately, I haven't seen the last couple of matches that were played, so I don't exactly know how those went. But considering that Opti is in Grand Finals, it's pretty easy to assume that he, you know, just passed with flying colors, essentially. And coming into this, you know, it's pretty easy to assume that Opti's just going to win it. But considering what happened in 4-2 earlier, you really can't count out anything. Like, sometimes even the best runners can make mistakes. I have definitely made mistakes during my tournament playthroughs, and there was one game, I believe, where I lost extremely bad. I think I got like a 22-minute run of this because I was just making a lot of mistakes, and I believe I even game overed at some point. That can happen to anybody. So, just because like Opti's behind now, it doesn't mean that he's going to stay down. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So going into the barrel section of 2-1, you can see that Opti's also opting to not grab any cans, but he grabs a can anyways because this is a very hard section to not grab cans in, so it's pretty understandable that he flubbed it just a little bit. Jonathan has a lot more cans though, so he's going to be losing a lot more frames due to that. And this section right here where they're going up the bridge, so you can actually just dash underneath the planks of wood that the workers carry with them. Right now, they're both doing around the same movement. Now, Jonathan doesn't jump as much as Opti, and you can see that jumping really does retain a lot of your speed. So, in this level specifically, you're going to be seeing a lot of jumping from Opti, especially in that section right there where we just got past. And going into the next section, we're going to be seeing what I like to call a brake dash. A brake dash is when you use the brake function to get back up to normal speed, pretty much instantly. Because when Pepsiman starts out, like when he starts to move after being still, he actually accelerates very slowly. And when you do a brake dash, you get him back up to speed pretty much instantly, so you can start dashing. So what you saw there is Jonathan. He did a brake, and the brake ended in like maybe 1 or 2 frames, and then you can dash immediately afterwards because you're back up to normal speed. That's a pretty common thing if you see people get hit. So if you see people get hit, what you're going to see them do is that. That way they can get back up to normal speed and not have to worry about like accelerating very slowly. And something that we forgot to mention before is that right here in this section of 2-2, there's actually a slope that gives you an absolutely crazy amount of speed. And what they do after that is they try to jump as much as possible to retain the speed, because like I said, you jump, you retain a lot of the speed that you get from like anything that you have on the ground. So whether it be like the slope speed or your dash speed, if it's speed and you can carry it, then that's when you start jumping a lot. And right now, both of these guys are actually still canless. So Jonathan right now and Opti both have no cans. So this is actually really good. So they're essentially like keeping the same pace between each other. Jonathan is, I think, behind about like 5 seconds total, but just because he's behind by 5 seconds doesn't mean anything, because, like I said, it can change on a dime. So right now in 2-2 or 2-3, we're seeing the the cheese strat, where you just sit in one spot and you can basically just run through everything, like without even thinking about it. Stage 2-3 is one of the hardest chase sections, but it becomes super easy when you realize that you can stay in like one spot for half of the chase and then another spot for the other half of the chase, and it is just completely trivialized by that. So, Opti and Jonathan, again, this is the same scenario that we had last match, where Jonathan is just behind by a slight amount, and Opti's ahead because of just like his better movement. Now, just because he's got better movement doesn't mean anything. At least not right now. You know, if he doesn't make any more mistakes throughout the rest of the run, yes, it doesn't matter. But what matters most is that you don't make any mistakes. And Jonathan plays solid, okay? He might not look like he's trying very hard, but he plays very solid. That's the difference here.
We were on our way there when the helicopter broke down. Fortunately,
Because playing solid in a tournament setting means that you win, essentially just by being smart and not being super risky. I say that, and I'm a person who, if I was in this tournament, I'd be trying as hard as I can to get literally everything right. You know, I'd be doing all the super risky movement. I'd be doing like all of the strats that I know about. Even if I get hit a couple times, I'm not gonna give up. That's just how I would play if I was in this tournament. Which, sadly, I couldn't enter this year because I had an injury and it was sustained for a little while. But I got better over time, so I probably could have entered. But at that point, it was too late. So I just decided to be the commentator for this year's tournament. We'll see what happens after this. But anyways, so now we're in 3-1. Opti's going to go for the truck skip again. Very nice. Gets it. Jonathan has one can going into truck skip. Opti probably could still lose this. I mean, not lose it, but he could still probably mess up the end. So what Opti's going to try to do is he's going to try to go through the car wash at the end without getting hit, and while trying to not grab a can, which is extremely hard. It is not consistent at all, at least in my opinion, because even if you line yourself up perfectly before the car wash section, you can still get thrown off of the angle you're trying to go at just because you are... Well, actually, just because, like, it's just whenever the game feels like turning you into the car wash. Now, I could be wrong about it being consistent, or inconsistent, rather. But in my experience, I don't think I've ever actually landed it consistently. And it could be a console problem. Because I believe I ran this on standard disk speed, and it was perfectly fine. Opti actually gets canless, so he's actually going to be saving a lot of time over Jonathan right now. Because 3-1 canless is pretty huge. So Opti is going to be saving about 2.5 seconds over Jonathan coming out of this cutscene. I believe that would mean that Jonathan is about... I want to say about 10 seconds behind Opti right now. 10, maybe 11, 12, around that area. So Opti is avoiding cans, even though it doesn't really matter. Now, what you may notice is that even though this stage, like, you can't avoid any cans, they still want to try to collect as leads as possible, because at the end you want to try and save as many frames as you can. Although I don't think it matters too much, because it's literally frames at the end of a level, after you're already done with it. So in my opinion, it doesn't matter too much. But I can understand why they would try to, like, minimize the amount of cans they try to collect as possible. Because even though it doesn't matter a whole lot in this stage, you can still probably get ahead by a few frames just by collecting, like, you know, slightly less cans than the other guy. Which, right now, they're actually around the same Pepsi can count. I mean, that could change, totally, but... Jonathan is still keeping a solid pace, so this is what I mean by, like, playing solid versus playing, like, super, super well. So Opti does crazy movement. Jonathan, I wouldn't say his movement is, like, super crazy. I mean, like, he's still fast, but you can see that, like, he doesn't really jump unless it's needed. And you can see here that, like, he doesn't... Oh, no, Jonathan gets hit coming out of the door. So you have to dash through that door or slide through it, because if you don't, then you get hit. Opti does not skip this cutscene this time, so that's great. That means that this run is potentially not a DQ. So yeah, Jonathan, unfortunately, he's not coming out of this with any time save. I think he's actually losing some time here to the split. However, what I was trying to mention before, Opti's movement is very like risk reward. Jonathan's is very solid, and he tries to like just play as safe as he possibly can, because of course, like in a setting like this, you want to try to be safe while also trying to be fast. And I believe Jonathan embodies that more than Opti does. Opti, I believe, just goes a complete balls to the wall and tries to go absolutely as fast as he can throughout like the entire game, which I mean, that's commendable, of course. I do that. If I was in this tournament, like I said, I would do the same thing. So even though I'm saying that it's better to be safe than to be risky, ironically, I don't do that myself, because it is the smart thing to do. And even though I say that, I'm a person who would not follow that philosophy, even if I was in this tournament myself. But with that being said, Opti coming out of here with, I believe, about 15 seconds of a lead, which is pretty big for a game like this.
Pepsiman! It looks like the main computer of Pepsi City went out of control a little while ago from being overloaded. All the roads are affected by the computer, and
Pepsi
we
for
can't
pizza.
move ahead. There isn't enough Pepsi for everyone, and violence has flared up amongst those.
So, I don't know why that cutscene plays here, because clearly the Pepsi for Pizza would be great if it came after the second stage, where there's a literal pizza truck chasing you. But you know, yeah, I guess it was just a missed opportunity on the devs' part. All they had to do was to swap the cutscenes around, and you'd be fine. Regardless, Opti is now going into 4-2, or I'm sorry, 4-1, the first stage of stage 4. And what you're going to be seeing is he's probably going to try to do the truck jump again. So, oh no, he doesn't go for he doesn't go for the truck jump. He learned from his mistake last time. He lost, I believe, about 3 seconds because he didn't get the truck jump, which is understandable. Like, that truck jump is a little bit tight. It's not hard, but it's just really tight, and you can easily mess it up. So Jonathan, I believe, he's not going to do that because he's smart, as I've said. Very smart, very solid. He's going to go for the 4-1 truck skip, which is extremely easy compared to the 3-1 truck skip. So that one, like, I believe it only saves like maybe a second or two, but it is definitely worth going for because the Pepsis that fly out of that truck are random. Meaning you're not going to know which position they're going to be at. And Jonathan gets hit. That's unfortunate. So I believe Opti is actually going to come out of this with a bigger lead. So we're going to see Jonathan get into the trash can section. Opti's coming out of the trash can section, and he's definitely going to be moving on to 4-2 if he keeps his movement up like this. And Opti is, like I said, he's a pioneer of 4-1 canless, but in an instance like this where you want to try and just play at least as risky as possible, Opti does not want that right now. He doesn't want to play risky. At this point, he just wants to get out of 4-2 with a lead, a solid lead. And we'll see if that happens, but 4-2, like I said, the equalizer is coming up right now. Opti could get through it perfectly fine. He could die at some point before the first checkpoint and get sent all the way back. And if that happens, then that would mean that this game is even again, unless Jonathan makes a mistake. But Opti, he's not the type to just back down from 4-2. He's very, very confident in his movement in 4-2. The only thing that happened in 4-2 was that he got hit a couple times. His movement was a little bit off, and unfortunately he didn't get enough speed that he wanted out of 4-2. So right now he's making a statement right now. He's like, I may have made the mistake before, but I'm not making the same mistake again. He is just flying through this pipe section with zero effort. Like, he is just flying through that part. Now, Opti, he got through all of that with 0 cans, but can he still close it out? That's the thing right now. Jonathan, he is playing safe. He doesn't want to die in 4-2. Because 4-2 is extremely punishing to people who get scared from it. He is still canless. Is Opti going to get 4-2 canless after the last run? That's a statement if I've ever seen one. He's like, I may have lost the last match because of 4-2, but here you go, hold this. He gets the first. Well, okay, I don't think that's the first 4-2 canless, but it is one of the 4-2 canlesses of all time. Jonathan gets through the doors, no problem. Now he's got a lot of cans, and he did get hit, so that means he's going to be, I believe, about 5 to 6 seconds behind after Opti. So this upcoming cutscene, so like this upcoming level is the final level in the game, and given that Opti and Jonathan both did not mess this chase up at all, then it is pretty much guaranteed that Opti wins this round, basically. Which would mean that we are 1-1 in a best-of-3 set. It's pretty huge, honestly. Alright, there we go. Opti with a 23:10. Huge improvement from the last run, which was a 24:02 with the skipped cutscene, which I believe would be more of a 24:16, 24:15 if we added the cutscene time back. So he saved roughly a minute over the last run, specifically because he didn't die in 4-2. That death in 4-2 is extremely huge, especially for a player of Opti's standards. Losing around a minute in Pepsiman when you're at a high level, it's not good. It's not good for you. Like it'll bite you. Jonathan just now finishing, so he was about 40 seconds behind the entire time. Oh, that's a world record? Oh my gosh. Okay, we actually just got a world record run for cutscene percent in tournament. I think that's actually the first world record run we've gotten in a tournament so far for anything. That is beyond me, honestly. That's just beyond me. Cause like I don't play cutscene percent, so I don't like follow that at all. That's why I didn't pick it up at first, but that's pretty hype for Opti to get a world record run like that. That's pretty crazy. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get the last match set up. So right now it is 1-1 out of a best of 3, so the next win determines this entire game. And judging from how both these guys have been playing so far, it can seriously go either way. Like, this is probably the closest grand finals we've had, like, of all time. Well, okay, maybe I can't say it that much. We did have a closer grand final set last year for cutscene percent. I think one of the matches last year was honestly just down to like a couple of seconds. I believe I hit... I believe like last year we had something like what was it, like it was like a 1917 for any percent, and then It was me and Emilio. Me and Emilio were racing, and then I believe I hit a 1917, then he hit a 1919. But on Racetime GG, it was almost It was almost like the same time. Like I remember I hit finished, and then he hit finished as soon as I did, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" And I'm like holding my head. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." We could get one of these here. We could get like a photo finish here, and we'd have to like judge it off of the splits themselves, like the times themselves off of both runners themselves. So if it comes down to it, we're gonna have to actually like do some research into it to figure out like who actually wins. Because in a situation where both players finish at around the same time, you really gotta dig deep. Okay, so we've got ourselves set up, and we are ready to go. All right, and here we go, starting the very last match of this tournament. Honestly, so this is the last like game that we're playing of this year's tournament.
Oh, Pepsi Man.
And from what it looks like, I think Opti is about a second and a half ahead right now, as far as like the stream sync is concerned. So I'm gonna try to sync it up by 1.5, and it should sync Opti up to Jonathan. Yeah, there we go. All right, cool.
But it looks like it's gonna take some time. Can't you do something, Pepsi Man?
So it is completely synced up. So here we go. Jonathan's into it. You can see him. You can see him moving around. Okay, so Opti doing a swag slide like right next to the garbage truck. Okay, all right. Trying to show off for the people. Jonathan, is he gonna? No, he's not. Oh no. Alright, so Opti and Jonathan both have grabbed cans, so Opti is only really ahead right now because of his movement. When you play Pepsi Man, it's essentially two parts. There's the movement part, and then there's the not grabbing any cans part. And they're both equal parts necessary for the speedrun. Now, when people first start out with any percent, of course they're just going to focus on movement because that's what you should do. Is focus on movement, because movement is probably the most important aspect over not grabbing any cans. However, when you start getting to a top level in this game, or approach top level, that's when canless starts to get really important. Now, you can get a sub 19 without grabbing, without doing any sort of canless strats. You can get a sub 19, but it is a lot harder to do because every time you get a new record screen, it's 2.5 seconds. So for every stage, That's about 5 seconds that you lose just because of cans and potentially frames off the Pepsi counter. So, let's see, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds over the course of the whole game. Add probably like maybe another second because of frames, and you got about 21 seconds that you lose just because of canless. Now that's just being like, you know, that's just like doing like fast math in my head right now, because I know that the new record screen costs about 2.5 seconds. I've timed it, and it is consistent. So it was about 20 seconds by grabbing cans throughout the entire game. It's a pretty huge deal when you look at it like that. That's why we try to avoid cans as much as possible, because it really does add up over time. Like, that's like 20 seconds you could save if you got like no cans throughout the whole game, which is impossible considering that 3-2 is a thing. But regardless, speaking of cans, Jonathan grabs 1 can in 1-2. I think that's the first time he grabbed cans in this entire set. So it's a bit unfortunate. The 1 can spells 2.5 seconds, which means that Jonathan, I believe, right now is behind about 5 seconds because of both movement and the cans. So we're going to see that right now. Coming out of the boss section. Jonathan gets hit, so like I said before, in these chase sections, I don't think getting hit slows you down at all. I believe what happens is the boss like object just gets closer to you, that's it. Which, if you look at it like that, it's not like a huge deal, because like Opti got hit towards the end and it didn't really lose any time. So I don't believe that I've lost any time to these chase sections as long as they don't die, because I believe they're just straight up like automated auto scrollers. So with that being said, both of them get out of stage 1 fairly easily, I'd say. Opti's still ahead by about like maybe, I want to say like 7 seconds now.
Have a Pepsi. Next stage.
Okay, yeah, he's about 7 seconds behind, so it's not a huge deal. Also, just a friendly reminder to have a Pepsi, which I will do right now.
According to reports I have heard, they got the fire under control, but there are some people that couldn't escape fast enough and are trapped on the roof. They are extremely exhausted, and it doesn't seem likely that we can get first aid to them in time. Can't you give them something to help revive them, Pepsi Man?
Alright, so now we are in 2-1. We're gonna see if Opti can actually get the canless this time and not lose a bunch of time. Jonathan does not opt to do canless 2-1 because I don't believe he's practiced it that much. Opti grabs a can, it's already over at this point. You may as well just grab some more cans. This section is extremely difficult to get canless in, so I'm not surprised if they grab cans at all. I'm actually more surprised if they come out with 0 cans, because it's just that hard. It's definitely one of those things that can like mess you up a little bit if you grab a can, because it's like, oh no, like I grabbed the can, like that sucks. Like, but all you gotta do is just keep a clear head. Like, okay, I'm losing like 2.5 seconds. All right, I'm just gonna hold that and move on. So Opti's is gonna try to finish this out. You know, you may have not gotten canless, but it's not a huge deal if you can just like keep your movement consistent. So like after you grab the first can, it's not like a huge deal if you grab any more, because like I said, you lose like literally frames every time that you collect a can. So, oh, Jonathan falls into the hole. Oh no! Oh, that is huge time loss for Jonathan. That is unfortunate. So it's probably like one of my favorite death animations in the game is where you trip and roll forward and then fall into a hole. Now it's funny in that sense because like just on its own it's funny, but in the context of a race or a speed run, it is extremely unfortunate to see, especially because like as soon as you trip and fall, there's basically nothing you can do to stop yourself. Like he will just keep rolling into a pit no matter what. So Jonathan is going to be very behind after this. I'm not exactly sure by how much, but the only thing that can really even the game out is if Opti makes a similar mistake, which I'm not going to count on, but it will. It could happen. It could happen. That's all I'm going to say. And speaking of Opti, he's actually in 2-2 right now, going down the slope. So this slope right here, it doesn't really matter if you dash or if you just walk down the slope. It's the same speed. This slope, however, that Opti just went down, gives you a mad amount of speed. And you can see that he's actually jumping a lot to try and maintain it as much as possible. After a while, it will actually go away, because every time that you land on the ground, your speed will decrease, because this game has momentum. What you want to do is carry the momentum into every jump. But if you know the point in which you need to start dashing again, then you really won't lose any speed coming out of that slope. Opti right now is just he's just playing really well. He gets a 109.33 coming out of that, which is extremely good. Jonathan gets hit twice in 2-2. This is not looking good for Jonathan right now. He's canless still, which is a good thing. That's like the one thing he needs to hold on to. But getting hit twice, that loses about maybe 6 seconds, I believe. So Jonathan right now is struggling a little bit. He gets a really huge death in 2-1 and gets hit twice in 2-2, so he's behind by quite a bit. I want to say it's about over 40 seconds of time loss, just from those 2 deaths. Or, I'm sorry, he didn't die, but you know. Opti gets hit in the chase section. He's actually really close to the truck now, and he didn't even get hit more than once. So what can happen in these chase sections? I didn't mention this because it doesn't really happen to many people, but in this specific chase section, you can actually get pushed into the truck without even getting hit. So Opti is just one hit away from facing the wrath of the pizza truck. Which, he gets out of there perfectly fine, but like, holy crap, he is very close to it. He only got hit once, and then he was just pushed into the truck, because that's a thing that can happen. It only happens in this specific chase section. So, that's a thing we gotta look forward to. The Pepsi guy is very into what just happened to Opti.
Pepsi for TV game.
Always cracks me up. Thankfully, we actually do get to see that cutscene in this tournament, at least at this point. So, Jonathan right now, he's actually doing a lot better in the chase than Opti was. Opti may have only gotten hit once, but he did get pushed into the truck, so it effectively looked like he got hit twice. So, Jonathan, I believe, is I believe he's about 40 to 50 seconds behind. It's pretty huge. Like you can see the difference right now. This is probably the biggest gap we've had so far between like both runners. And considering that the last match ended with a difference of 40 seconds, that's actually saying a lot. So the only thing that can really happen now to even this game out is if Opti makes like a huge mistake towards the end. Like if he doesn't get truck skip here, for instance, or if he dies at any point. Because any death in this level would be gigorman. That doesn't make any sense. It would be pretty huge, is what I'm trying to say. This level is very punishing if you don't grab any checkpoints, which Opti goes ahead and gets the safety checkpoint in case he needs to. Which he gets the truck skip no problem, so he's going to try to do another canless 3-1, which, like I said before, is borderline inconsistent at points, but I believe a consistent setup has been found already. So I may need to get back into that in case I need to start improving my own world record. But anyways, Opti gets through this part no problem, grabs the safety checkpoint, no problem. He is out of here. Now, if he dies in this section, especially towards the end, like if he gets hit by any like stray biker or whatever, it's going to be a lot of time. Jonathan right now in 3-1, he is... Oh! That's new. Opti gets hit there? And he grabs a can? Okay, so he's one hit away from death. That's uncharacteristic, I gotta say, but... Like I said, it does happen. So he's going to be losing about 5 seconds because of the hit plus the cans. So he's going to take this part super safe. So it's about 5.5 to 6 seconds lost because of the cans plus getting hit. Jonathan, on the other hand, only has 1 can, and he's gotten past the truck skip pretty safely. Safety checkpoint, of course. Now, it doesn't lose that much time to skip the checkpoint. However, if you do skip the checkpoint, it is a little bit faster. However, it's also a lot riskier, especially in a tournament setting, to skip that checkpoint. Because if you die, you go all the way back before the truck skip, which is pretty huge. So it's just a huge amount of time loss, no matter how you look at it. So Opti right now is in 3-2, which means that we're going to be seeing more of the barrel section. Now, this barrel section, like I said before, you can't skip any cans, no matter how hard you try. The only way that you'd be able to skip any cans in this level is by just skipping the entire stage period, like a level warp or something, which we don't really know of at this point in the game's life. I wouldn't put it past the game to have some sort of like level warp. Like, if you just glitch the game into thinking that you're in a different stage, then it will most likely just put you in that stage afterwards. That's the only thing I can really theorize, but that's just wishful thinking at this point, because I would love to see a sort of warp glitch in this game for any percent. That would change the game pretty significantly. Jonathan, coming into 3-2, of course he's going to be doing the patented safe movement, as we've all come to love. And Opti is almost towards the end of the level, so I think we can go ahead and assume from the time difference between the two. Now, going off the in-game time is a little bit like hard to calculate, but if we're going off the in-game time, then I believe that means that Jonathan is over 1 minute and 10 seconds behind right now. Which would add up because of the death in 2-1 and the a couple of hits he got in 2-2. Ever since 2-2, though, he's been picking it up. You know, his movement's a little bit more confident. He's definitely going. He's definitely keeping it together very well, especially after all that stuff. Opti now in 3-3. Now, I forgot to mention this before, but this is probably the easiest chase section in the entire game. This is definitely one of the easiest chases because you can just easily react to everything that's coming at you. And as long as you don't jump unless necessary, then you'll be perfectly fine. It's very easy to also recognize the pattern in this chase section. Basically, like everything that appears on the right side or the left side will just appear on the other side, like in the next wave. So very, very easy, very easy. It's a lot easier than 4-3 for sure. All right, so here we go. Opti going into 4-1 on a very good pace, actually. Now, I believe he's also... I think he's back on warp pace with this.
Pepsi for pizza.
I could be wrong, but I believe this is warp pace. Again. We'll see coming into 4-1 what kind of pace he's on. but it's looking pretty good from what I can tell.
Pepsi Man, it looks like the
Jonathan right now is right at the end of 3-3, so
all the roads are affected by the computer and we can't move ahead.
it's coming into 4-1 right now. He's got to watch the cutscenes. But after that, it's fair game at this point. Because really, after this cutscene with the policeman, there's really no more cutscenes to skip. Because after the final chase section, that's the end of the run. So as soon as this cutscene's over, we're going to be seeing Opti play out of his mind, essentially, because he just wants to close this out as much as he possibly can. He's gonna try to... No, he's not gonna do it, no. It's too risky in a tournament setting. So he gets the 4-1 truck skip pretty easily, actually. So what happened is that he hit the truck when he jumped, which means that he actually lost some frames on the way down because he was very high up in the air. It's not recommended that you jump into the truck because, like I said, you lose frames. But like you just want to like stay grounded and then run into the truck because that's how you lose the least amount of time possible. So Opti is opting to do a grabbing cans version of 4-1, which is pretty standard because before we found out the ways to skip a lot of the cans in this level, we just kind of assumed that it was not really feasible to do 4-1 canless. Like, we knew it was possible, but like it's not like super doable. Which, if you guys didn't know, there's actually a task of Pepsi Man that gets no cans, the least amount possible. The task actually loses time. I believe the task actually loses time to RTA because it doesn't really incorporate a lot of movement that we've come to actually like know over the course of the game's life, especially in the last year or so. A lot of improvements have been made to the movements, so we've been seeing a lot of people improve like really fast, and the tasks most tasks of this game, actually no, I believe every task of this game is just obsolete at this point. That's how good we've gotten at this game. But you could also just chalk it up to taskers like being a little bit ignorant towards the actual speedruns of the game. So there's that too. Anyways, so here we are in 4-2 with Opti. Jonathan is just now wrapping up 4-1, so he's actually like not that far behind Opti, but Opti is... Oh no, Jonathan dies at the... Oh no, that's huge. Oh, Jonathan, no. That is not what you want to see right now. Opti right now is in 4-2. He's on a very good pace. He's got canless going on right now in 4-2. He is just flying through 4-2 with zero issues. Jonathan, he is not happy about that. You can see the frustration on his face as soon as he fell into the pit. Opti is about to close this one out, so the only thing that can really like open this up for any sort of tie is if Opti messes up this skateboard section, which is not a huge deal considering he got the checkpoint. So even if he does the checkpoint, he's going to be ahead by about over a minute still, which means that this race is, I don't want to say over already, but it's pretty huge. And Opti gets canless 4-2 again in the same race. That is ginormous, honestly. Probably like the best performance we've seen so far from this game. At any point, I believe. So Jonathan is just trying to get through this first opening section without really getting hit. It's very scary, especially if you're not comfortable with it. So what we've seen here is Jonathan is playing solid because he doesn't want to die, which is perfectly fine. And Opti gets out with 0 cans and super optimized movement, which means that Opti is probably going to get away with another runaway whir. This might world record, although I'm not exactly sure. We got about 30 more seconds until the world record ends, so we could be seeing a back-to-back whir for cutscene percent. I'm looking at it. Could it be 10 seconds? No, it was close though. It was so close. So about 23:15 for 23:15 for Opti. So that's like back-to-back, like near world record pace runs, both times for Opti. So Opti is our 2022 tournament champion. And as you can see, the Pepsi guy is very excited about that. You can sort of see the frustration on Jonathan's face. He knows that there are a lot of big mistakes in this that cost him like over a minute's worth of time loss, which is unfortunate to see in a race like this, especially in a game that's this short. Any sort of minutes lost, like even if you lose a minute, that is just ginormous amounts of time. So it's unfortunate for Jonathan to fall behind as much as he did, but Opti really did show off like what the game can be pushed to, because if you ask me, I think he's probably the best player at this game, like just so far. I might have the world record in any percent, which is like the main category of this game, but Opti's been pushing the game outside of any percent, like just as far if it's like a individual level run, or if it's a miscellaneous category, or maybe even 100%. Although 100%, in my opinion, I believe is locked down like pretty tight because of Hano. Hano is a Japanese runner, and he only primarily plays 100% in this game, and he's gotten it down to about a 1936 on console, which is pretty huge. So it's I'd say it's pretty locked down at this point, you know. I've never attempted 100%. I don't think I ever will attempt 100% because it's just, I don't see the point in competing with that, especially because it's so good. Now, maybe in the future, we'll probably do a 100% tournament, which I'm not going to lie, 100% tournament sounds pretty daunting, especially because you go from missing every can to collecting every can. And if you miss one, well, you gotta die and then reset, which would cost a lot. So thankfully in 100%, you gain a lot of lives pretty quickly, because every time you collect 25 Pepsi cans in a single stage, you actually get an extra life at the end. So anytime you have a multiple of 25, so if you get like 25, 50, 75, or 100, you'll get like 1, 2, 3, or 4 lives. Actually, if you get 100 cans, you get 5 lives, because it'll count up for every 25, and then it'll give you a perfect screen, which gives you another extra life. So you get 5 lives every time you finish the stage 100%. So it's pretty nice, especially for 100%, because you get a lot of chances to get more lives to try again in case you miss something. Alright, so with me right now, I got Jonathan in VC. So Jonathan, you may not have won this tournament, which, by the way, GG's. The showing that you did, especially in the first game, like I was very accepting that Opti was just gonna get like a runaway like 2-0, and obviously because you played solid and he made a very huge mistake in the first game. You're actually able to catch up ahead and played solid up to that point. So all I gotta say is GG's for playing as well as he did. And how do you feel now?
Before you tell me, let me guess. Like he died at the end of like 4-2, and he didn't get one of the checkpoint, or maybe all of the checkpoint. Is that what happened in the first game?
So what happened to Opti is in 4-2, he was very much ahead, and then he skipped a checkpoint. He skipped the first checkpoint in the pipe section. He died at the end of the pipe section after getting hit twice. So he lost time for getting hit twice, and then he died. So he got sent all the way back to the start. And from that point on, he was trying to play catch up.
Right. Is it died because of he tries to avoid the cans while jumping, like just before the last checkpoint? Like is that? Or he just
I
get
believe
hit three
so.
times?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. That jump is always tricky if you want to avoid the cans. Yeah. But otherwise, overall. But I suspect that's what happened because like, I always when I do these races, I always watch the stream every couple of now and then. I didn't watch the exact time he died, but when I finished 4-2, he's like behind me, and when I finished 4-1, he's like, I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds ahead of me. So I know that he must have died, and I know he must have skipped a checkpoint. I know that's one. And I watched some of his earlier runs as well. I saw like in his earlier matches he skipped a checkpoint, so I suspect that's what happened again this time. And that's must have been what happened. Otherwise, as you mentioned, like I didn't expect to win a game at all. Like I met Opti exactly like in the previous game, like in the winner bracket semi-finals. It's also a best of 3, and the result was 2-0 in that game. And basically on both the games he didn't give me any chances. Like it was sub 19 on that match. So I expect this match to be the same. But and then there was a bit of a drama where he skipped a cutscene there in the first game, and maybe that's kind of affect his performance as well. Like maybe he like have that in the back of his mind that results to his death. I don't know. For the second and the third game, basically again he gave me no chance. Basically it's the same as the semi-final match where he even like his time is better than my BB, like far better than my BB. So basically I have no chance. I should probably say like at least I go to game 3 like I should probably like apologize if any of you like expecting a tight game 3, because my game 3 is very messed up. Like I died in 2-1 first, and then 4-1 I died again. My game 3 is a mess, but at least like it's better than I expected. So like I didn't even expect to go to game 3. So that's why I feel right now.
Well, remember to give your GGs to Jonathan, everybody. He did get second place in this tournament, which is a pretty big deal. Like, especially with the stacked bracket we had. We had Emilio, and Emilio is also a great runner. Unfortunately, he didn't make it very far in this tournament, which has been unfortunate, because I did actually want to see him get far. But we did get Jonathan versus Opti, which is something I honestly didn't expect. Because like I honestly thought we were gonna get like Opti versus Emilio, because both those guys are pretty great, and also Opti, believe it or not, learned the game from Emilio. So,
right. Yeah. I heard about that. Yeah.
It'd be like a teacher versus student type thing.
Right. Yeah. Fortunately for me, Emilio is less consistent than myself and Opti. Like even when like last year when my PB is far worse, like I haven't done truck skip yet, and my strats are way worse last year. And even when our PB is like 1 minute like different, like I'm 1 minute behind like last year, I managed to win one game I think against him in a best of 3 match as well. So his PB is like from last year or something, right? Like he haven't managed, like I think he honestly what I think is that he's obviously a good runner. Like his strats are awesome, but in terms of like consistency, he's worse than Opti and myself maybe. So that's why like in these marathon settings, I think I can win. Like and yeah, he haven't got PB in the last couple of months or even years. I don't know when is his last PB, but yeah. So yeah, and actually like the loser bracket finals, like I met him in the loser bracket finals, right? I don't know whether you watched the replay, but yeah, it's yeah, he won the first game, but the other two games I won it. So it's not a clear win for me as well. Like it's a tight game as well between me and Emilio in the losers final. So but yeah, I managed to win it, and yeah, and again it's because of like I think he makes several mistakes on the second and the third game, and yeah, that's what happened.
So I've said this during the stream multiple times, but playing consistently and playing solid is a lot better than trying to go for like the best strats all the time, especially in a race
Right.
setting where
Yep.
you can easily lose like a minute or something because of one mistake. Exactly the case with Opti. Opti lost a whole minute because he went all the way back to the start of
Right.
4-2
Right.
because of one mistake that he skipped one checkpoint, and it could have been like a 25-second death, but it ended up being a whole minute because of one checkpoint. That's really the big deal with any percent as just in general, like with this game. Like if you skip checkpoints, you are going to have a bad time if you die. That's why whenever you see both Opti and Jonathan go into 3-1, but right before the truck skip, they always grab the checkpoint because you never know what's going to happen. If you get a jump glitch, or if you just like mess the truck skip up and you want to like death abuse, then the checkpoint's right there. If you skip that checkpoint, you're going all the way back to the start, and you're probably going to lose. So it's best to play solid than it is to be super risky. But Opti's a player who doesn't care about any of that, and he just does whatever he wants, and he just does it with efficiency. It's crazy to watch. Now I will say this: Opti got cutscene percent world record in the second game, which
Right.
is insane because he actually improved by quite a lot. He improved by
Right.
about 12 seconds, I want to say,
Yep. hmm
which is just ginormous. That is huge.
Yeah, and then even the second game, I think it's sorry, the third game it's worse than his second game, but still better than his PB before of the tournament, right? Like it's like 7 seconds better than his PB before the match, like excluding the second game. So like the second and the third game is better than before this tournament. Like so, yeah, basically like there's no chance for me. Like his second and the third game is basically like perfect, like almost perfect. So yeah, about the checkpoint. Yeah, I get like you avoid you did not take checkpoint when you like try to get PB because if you die you reset the game anyway. But like during marathon match, like why do you avoid checkpoint? It's not slower, right? Getting checkpoint, so I don't really get.
It's
like,
slower by frames. Like you lose like maybe like half a second at most avoiding like some out of the way checkpoints. Like in 3-1, both checkpoints are actually out of your way. So if you went to go get like the first checkpoint, for instance, you probably lose like a few frames here and there just by like turning into the checkpoint. and turning
because
back.
because you by taking the checkpoint you don't optimize the turn, like the cornering, that thing, right? Is that
Exactly. So
okay?
and the second checkpoint in 3-1 is actually very far out of your way. So when you go for the inside corner after the truck skip, there's like this. It's like on the outside of the turn, and you want to try and stay inside of the turn because you want to keep the corner going. That's basically all it comes down to. In these instances, like grabbing the checkpoint is not a huge deal. It's just that when you're trying to save as much time as you possibly can, like just squeeze as much time save as you can out of this game. Skipping some out of the way checkpoints is definitely the move. If you're trying to do a PB attempt in a race setting, no, you grab that. You grab that.
Yeah.
As we've seen in this very same match, if you don't grab a checkpoint, you mess up. It is probably the end of your run. Like no matter how far ahead you are probably going to lose, and that's what we've seen today. Now, I'm not going to say that like this happens all the time. It's actually a very rare occurrence where somebody like loses a game because they didn't grab a checkpoint or something. I don't think that's happened more than like maybe twice in the last 2 years that we've had this tournament. But Opti just recently had the most recent like attempt at that, so it's unfortunate to see. But being the player that he is, Opti, of course, he bounces back from that. He learns from his mistakes, and even in 4-1, we saw that like even though he messed up the truck jump in 4-1, the one where you just jump between like the truck and the trailer. So he messed that up, and he didn't go for it anymore. He actually just stopped doing that cold turkey because it
Like,
didn't work.
He failed it on the first game, and then on the second and third, he just slid under the truck.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's something that I never do myself. So like, yeah, this just shows also like how our strats are so far ahead. Like, I mean, Opti strats are so far ahead. Yeah, I always slide under the truck. I haven't practiced jumping over the truck as well. Yeah. But like in terms of like the checkpoints, like is he getting all the checkpoints in the second and the third game?
I wasn't paying attention to see if he grabbed every checkpoint. I think in 2-2 he didn't grab the checkpoint at least a couple times, but that one, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important because if you die, you start out with immediate speed. Because the checkpoint is right over the slope, so you go down the slope, you're already like going really fast. And speaking of Opti, here he is. So
Hello.
Opti, I just want to say congratulations and also a really great showing, and also getting world record during this set for
Yes.
cutscene percent. That's pretty big.
Nice. That's nice. Well, it was a PB. I hit it. I got it.
Yeah, when you are a world record, any PB is a world record, right? So
Yes. Yes.
It was just amazing to see like the game being put Opti might want to
Yeah,
close
I'm
stream.
What happened?
It's just we can see your browser.
Okay, we put this. Right there.
Yeah, you don't want to show that on stream. Don't want to show that.
Oh, fail. Okay,
Oof, that was a close one. Anyways, yeah, congratulations on winning this year's tournament.
yes.
And even though I couldn't participate this year, I knew that I knew that I would probably have some competition between you and Emilio if I entered this year. It'd be close. It'd be very close. But you've shown that like the current modern day strats are definitely like worth going for, especially the 4-2 optimization. Now 4-2, that's your level now.
Yes, the cornering stats.
Like 4-2 has been optimized so much now that it's actually insane how like you basically lose no time doing canless. Well, before we have seen before, like Emilio, whenever he does 4-2 canless, you can see him actually like slow down a lot when he goes for it. Which right now it seems as if you found ways around slowing down in 4-2, which is nice because that makes it viable to do it in real like PB any percent attempts. So all I gotta say is like that's really cool to see, especially in a tournament setting. You actually went for 4-2 canless twice and got them both times.
On the first round, on 4-2 canless, I lost. I choke. I don't know. I crashed, and I lost. I lost a life, and I lost the run because of that. I failed.
yeah, we Mac Cooper and I were talking about you skipping the checkpoints and yeah, not really paid off on the first game, but yeah, on the second and third, you played really solid. So yeah, congratulations on winning the tournament and winning the match. Yeah, I think I need to go to the Spanish channel actually. Ghost asked me to go there. So yeah, yeah, probably, yeah. I just say congratulations again. Yeah,
Yes.
you gave me no chance basically, other than the first game. So yeah, thanks for the great match.
Thanks.
All right, Opti. Now here comes the biggest question: is how do you feel right now after winning this match and this tournament this year?
Um, I want to play a game. I want to focus more on Pepsiman and hit a world record. I want to hit a sub in 18.7 on EPCTC. I don't know if it's possible, but maybe with 4-1 canless, 2-1 canless, because on the other run, like the I don't know what time was. I didn't got 2-1 canless and 4-1, so I will try it. I will try, and maybe hit a PS2. So I don't know.
Oh, if he gets a PS2, then that means he could get world record. Like even barring the fact that we're still in sort of a process of splitting the board up between console and emulator, because it is a pretty big gap between like
Yeah.
the time that emulator loses compared to how much time console saves because of fast disk speed. So barring that, you know, Opti is still getting times that can rival a console world record because he's just that good. Like in terms of in-game time, I think he's actually a little bit better than the world record currently right now, because he goes for a lot of like current modern day strats, which I personally still need to work on myself. Once I do return to the game, I'm definitely going to be implementing a lot more of the modern strats because of Opti's findings, and he's actually been like finding ways to just make the game easier. Like there's a lot of strats that just don't seem very feasible, and here Opti is showing us that, oh yeah, no, it's pretty easy. You could just do this, and it's like, oh yeah, awesome.
Awesome.
So really, we have Opti to thank for a lot of the modern day strats, and he's definitely been pushing the game a lot harder recently than I was sometime last year and the earlier this year. There's definitely a lot of optimization going on. So we've got Opti to thank for a lot of the optimizations lately. So again, thank you for that.
Yeah, no issue. I wanted to say something like from optimizations for the 2-1 canless, the last level canless. With the new cornering strat, you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
We got a new door with, like, I don't know how I say, reach the door. Now we can bypass the door. Like we're going too fast with the new strat and bypass that door. I wanted to say something that.
Oh yeah. In 4.2, there's the door right
that.
before the last checkpoint. It turns out that you can actually like go fast enough to go like straight through the door and not get hit. And it turns out that it's like, I want to say it's like a 1 or 2 frame window where you can actually squeeze through the door. But if you get that, that means you don't have to slow down. You can just keep going, and it's just fast. It's like it's super, super fast.
It's really fast, really fast.
So it's definitely something that I need to start trying out myself once I do start coming back to this game. Which, believe it or not, it's actually going to be a lot sooner than we may expect, because you know, my arm is a lot better now. The reason I didn't enter this tournament is because my arm was broken, and it only recently got better. So yeah, we might actually be seeing some more competition soon. Even outside of this tournament, we might be seeing some more competition. So who knows?
Who knows? Maybe the next year. I don't know.
Next year. There's definitely going to be a tournament next year, and hopefully by next year we get a lot more entrants. So last year we started with 7, we ended up having 6, and this year we only had 5. It's a little bit less than last year, literally by 1 person. So what I'm hoping for next year is that we actually get like a full 8-person bracket. Because not only would that be really entertaining, but it would also be like heavily variant. So having a lot of variants would be really nice, especially in a game like this. Our community is very tight knit too. Like we basically know everybody. So if we get more people involved and we get more people running the game to discuss it more, find new stuff, and hopefully we can continue to keep pushing the game down and make it a lot more interesting as time goes on. Right now, so compared to last year to this year, the game hasn't changed like too much. It's just been like slowly optimized over time. But with the advent of like new speed strats, it's getting a lot more interesting by the month, I want to say. Every month there's like a new thing that gets found out that's like, oh, you can save like a second or so by just jumping over this truck in 4-1, for instance, like the truck jump. That one that's really fast, and it avoids cans, so it's very useful.
I'm searching a consistent way of doing 4-1 canless. Like the track jump this, I don't know how we call it. The first track jump. It saves a lot of time. And after that, the last section is really hard to do canless. Like the trash. The trash section, like when Pepsiman has a trash on his head. This is really hard to do canless, and I'm searching a consistent way to do it.
Right. It's not exactly easy to get past all of those cans, because there's a very narrow gap between the can and the obstacle that you're trying to squeeze between, and it's very, very difficult, and it's almost borderline inconsistent because of the fact that if you touch a wall in Pepsi Man, what happens is Pepsi Man will kind of like touch the wall and then kind of get pushed away from the wall constantly. It's not like he just grinds the wall constantly, but he keeps getting pushed away from it. So it makes avoiding cans a little bit more difficult, especially because of that. I believe it's one of the reasons why 3-1 canless was thought to be like a little bit inconsistent all the time, is because like even if you try to line yourself up against the wall right before the car wash, you'd get pushed away from it, and it would kind of just mess up your positioning a lot. Although thankfully we did get to see 3-1 canless at least once in this, so
yeah,
you got to see that it's at least possible.
it is possible.
And we got to see 4-2 canless twice, so that was nice.
It was nice.
Yeah,
Hmm.
very great showing today, honestly. And your performance throughout the tournament is something that we're going to be discussing for quite a while, actually, because so last year I won the tournament, and it was very close between me and Emilio. This year you've won our tournament, and
Yes.
now I'm just wondering what's going to happen next year. Is somebody going to join the community and then start getting as good as like you and I, to where they start like just tearing up the leaderboard? That's what I'm hoping happens. Someone's going to join the community and just start ripping the game apart. That's what I'm hoping for.
Let's hope that happens.
But anyways, I believe that's about it from us here at the Pepsi Man community. Opti, do you have anything else to say?
Nothing. I don't have to say nothing.
Well, outside of have a Pepsi, of course.
Yes, I forgot that. Have a Pepsi. Have a pizza and Pepsi. Good cene. And nothing more to say. Yeah, really thanks for watching. I don't know.
So everyone who came to watch the stream and for sticking around for this very long interview, like our interviews are infamous for being very very long. So it's like for a game that's this short, we have very long interviews. Sometimes the interviews go on for a lot longer than the game is actually played. So yeah, but anyways, so that's about it from us here at the Pepsiman community. And again, I just want to thank you all guys for watching. Very, very interesting tournament we've had this year. It wasn't as big as last year, but it was very interesting because we did get a lot of like good runners in this bracket, and it was very like very flip floppy, I'd say, between like who was actually gonna like come out on top. And as we see, Opti, this year's winner. Next year, if I don't hurt myself, then like if I don't hurt myself next year, then I'm definitely gonna be in the next tournament. So just count on that. And between that, I'm probably gonna be working more on optimizing my own gameplay. That way, I can maybe push the world record down a bit some more, or something like that. But anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and end the stream. So thank you guys for watching. Have yourselves a good day, and remember to have a Pepsi.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.